Bears lose 42-38. Not because of the quarterback. Let's do our franchise focus. And there you have it. Caleb, 25 of 42, 330 passing yards.
Woo!
2 touchdowns, was not intercepted as per usual. And I would say in control all night long. Started a little bit slow. First 2 drives were 2 3-and-outs. Heated up from there as has been the norm. They had to put up a ton of points to stay in this thing. They did that. The defense did give them a touchdown early with the first play of the game with the pick 6 from T.J. Edwards, which feels like it was 5 weeks ago. But, this first time over 300. He's in range to tie Eric Kramer in range for 4,000 in the final week if he ends up playing next week, which you would think he will because the Bears are jockeying for seedings. They have to win the game to lock in the 2 seed because the Philadelphia Eagles had the benefit of Buffalo not showing up today at home and losing that game, which kills the Bears.
Well, and here's one thing is the reason I was late sitting down was because Greg was showing me a play of the last play where apparently DJ Moore is standing like this on the opposite side of the end zone, open. And let me just tell you this. If Caleb had made that throw, just put him in the Hall of Fame right now. I don't want to see a screenshot of that. I get that he's standing there, but he couldn't even get it to where – was that actually – I think it was Jade who was trying to get the ball there.
Yeah,
too, right?
Jade and Luther.
Yeah, right. The ball was short of there. How's he getting it all the way across? Anyway, shout out to Alex Shapiro, by the way. I'm going to give him credit for these doing the math for everybody.
I know the math.
Caleb Williams is now up to 3,730 passing yards on the season. If he throws for 109 next week, he will set the Bears' new franchise record for a season. And he is 271 away from becoming the first Bears quarterback to hit 4,000 yards. Guys, that's back on the table after this performance today.
Yeah.
271 can be done.
They might need him to do it.
And he's 4 touchdowns away from the touchdown record. If he, because, because he came into this game with 24, right?
Okay.
And so he's at 26. And, but, I mean, those are silly records that aren't the bigger picture of things that are important, but does put into perspective the year that Caleb Williams has had and the fact that he has now reached, the peak of his ability here in the Ben Johnson offense here in the second to last week of the season. It bodes well here when you get to the playoffs because we all understand what this defense is, and if they're not getting turnovers and they're not getting stops, you're going to need a quarterback that's going to win you games. And I can yell about running the ball as much as I want, and that certainly I think needs to be a part of their game plan to play keep away against certain offenses. At the end of the day, if you want to win games in the playoffs, if you want to win championships, you got to have a quarterback that can make plays, and today he showed that.
Look, I thought it was interesting on the broadcast at least, and I'm sure a ton of people noticed that Collinsworth he's wide open there. You've got to hit him. This is an easy throw. And Collinsworth, some people thought he was being harsh. Collinsworth was right. The guy,
You're talking about the one when Duvernay ran across the...
Yeah, Duvernay was one. There were a couple others that
he talked about when he came out of the pocket and rolled right, and he had Colston Loveland opened up, and he sailed it over his head, and he was like, those are the throws that make you scratch your head with Caleb. That's an easy throw.
Okay. Yeah, and you know what? And if Josh Allen hits the wide open wide receiver in the end zone today on the 2-point conversion, then the Bears game doesn't matter next week.
Right, correct.
But my point is,
I'm not trying to do anything.
You can't nitpick every little thing.
Right, exactly. But my point is that with the creativity that Ben has, that there are guys seemingly running open on each play as he continues to evolve. Think about where he was at the start of the season. They could not get out of the huddle properly. That's where it was. And false start. It was that you couldn't even they were crawling. They weren't even walking at that point. Now they're running, and he's going to the ones that he missed tonight, he's going to hit those. So you're talking about like what you're talking about, Greg, where it's going. Like it's going to settle down that much more, and with Ben and this offense and the talent that's there with everybody that we're naming, I mean, the train is headed in a very positive direction.
And that's funny because like if you're gonna ask me like where I would nitpick tonight, like, hey Adam, what did you have a problem with? Honestly, the two things that come to mind, and I'm not even sure the second one was his fault, but they had that long play and then they had to delay a game after that. I hate that.
That was
like
right.
You can't have a delay a game after that. So that goes to the pre-snap stuff, which is incredibly improved. And then the second one is actually my problem with the last play of the game is they barely got it off. It didn't look like a clean play from the start. So I'm curious. I'm sure we'll hear from Ben Johnson, but I want to hear from Ben. Did that play call come in late? Like, what happened there? Because that was almost a delay game there, and then it did not seem clean at all, and that was disappointing to see. I love the hook and ladder right before that.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, they obviously didn't get the coverage Ben thought they were going to get, because ideally that play works where the guy gets it and it's like a walk-in touchdown, and the 49ers had 3 guys there to make it. Even if Cole ends up blocking one of those guys, there's 2 other dudes there to make the tackle. So I think that the 49ers just happened to be in the right defense for that play at that time, but I love the call. I like that they got up there and they spiked it. That's all good execution. But then after that, as tired as everybody is, plays got to be in faster. It's got to be called in the huddle faster. You can't be rushing there at the line of scrimmage and barely getting it off. And honestly, if they called that first delay game, which was barely double zeros on there, they probably could have called that one too.
Yeah, I mean, the hook and ladder was fantastic. I just like the idea of that play call. You got to give San Francisco a lot of credit for being ready for it, because that is a surprise attack kind of a play. Now, it was interesting for Ben Johnson, and we always do our Foreman review on the Brick by Brick after show, which follows this post-game show. So if you're sticking around later this evening, we'll certainly dissect this with Jerry Azuma and Lance Briggs. But they get the first down, and they choose not to clock it. They choose to use their final timeout. And so at that point, I'm looking at it from Ben's rationalization of, I don't want to use a down to clock it. I want to use 4 downs for the end zone. And instead, they run a play where they run a hook and ladder, and now you get tackled before the end zone. So now the 4 plays go out the window. You are able to clock it to have one final play.
But I agree. I prefer to have that timeout saved.
I'm more of the clock it, keep your timeout in your pocket kind of guy. At this point, I have
clock it, keep the timeout in the pocket.
Yeah, that's right. And I have learned to trust Ben. Briggs has hammered this home with me, and so I'm going to ride with what he's doing. Now, if I'm going to sit here and try to be critical on, where Caleb, not critical, that's not the right word, but the thing that I want to see Caleb take the next step in is when they ran that blitz, the 0 blitz, and you have that runner coming across the middle, and you bail out of the pocket, and now you underthrow it right. I think it was to DJ Moore in the slot. You had him right. You know it's coming. Get it out of your hands. Bang. That's a walk-in touchdown, just like it was for the 49ers a couple minutes before. And so
I think that was Duvernay that was open, right?
Was it Duvernay?
Yeah, I think so.
Regardless, it was a great play call. It was there. Caleb's just got to trust it and accept the blitz coming in his face and get rid of it. Outside of that, I just thought he had a phenomenal game. I mean, obviously him and Luther Burden's connection was fantastic. That touchdown pass, very few players can make without their feet set. He's got his feet horizontal and just flick of the wrist, 50 yards, touchdown to Luther Burden on a dime. And then Colston Loveland, they identify the mismatch on the linebacker. He throws a frozen rope over his head. So fantastic display of ability from Caleb Williams here tonight. Like I said, the future is bright.
Now, shout out to Patrick Norton doing a great job here tonight, and he's feeding me some quotes to some of my questions that I'm asking live on the air. Ben Johnson commented on what I just brought up on that final play, what exactly happened. He said, quote, "We didn't quite get aligned in the formation we wanted to. It's on me. I didn't give him the call fast enough, and so he's trying to piecemeal it together. I got to do a better job on that." So in other words, it sounded like they're based on the coverage he's seen at the line of scrimmage, you're gonna change the formation a little bit, get to what you want to get into, and they just didn't have the time to do that. So in all the chaos on that final play, the call comes in late, and that's why they were late snapping it.
This is where I go back to the silver lining. And if you don't want to hear it, then do whatever you're going to do with your life. But for me, this is a learning experience for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams in this. They've got to figure these orders of operation out. Be grateful that they have the playoffs clinched. Be grateful that they have won the NFC North. And now you have this simulated moment that you might be playing this team in a few weeks. And now you've been there. You've been in this moment and the repetition of saying, okay, now we know what to do. I mean, you're not going to learn everything through success. Sometimes you got to learn through failure.
I got to roll.
Also, you're not going to get all these right. You've had 6 come from behind victories. They're not all going to go your way because that's just not how odds work.
I want to run back through though how he used his timeouts, because it seems like if you had that part to do over again, if you're going to run the trick play, hook and ladder to DJ, you want to have a timeout right there. You would have had 2 shots at it instead of the one. You're not as rushed.
Or you'd had more plays for a touchdown after that play.
The way,
but he did call it knowing that they could spike it.
Yes, but listen.
But he's saying if you clock it and you run that play on second down,
right.
now you burn the timeout, and now you have how many more seconds on the clock to run multiple plays for the win.
When they got the first down and they had the luxury to go up there and clock it and have one less down and keep another timeout, if he had to do that over again, I wonder if he would, because then you have
that you're talking about when he burned the last time out.
No, when he burned the first one. They get the first down, it's just under a minute. You're screaming, get up there. And
I was saying you're fine.
Yeah,
there was 45 seconds on the clock.
You were saying get up there and spike it, is what you were saying, right?
No,
they burned the timeout. When the first one needed to be called, when it was called, it was on a first down play in the middle of the field. They only got like 6 or 7 yards, and they were really far away. That one had.
And then they completed it to the tight end.
Yeah.
Then they called the timeout.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Right. There was still like 45 seconds on the clock. They're at the 30-yard line. You have plenty of time. I think they proved that as the rest of the drive went on. My quibble with is the final timeout.
My assessment is that he's trying to time it out perfectly, that there's less than 10 seconds left on the clock. And sometimes you just want to give yourself a little bit more leeway. And he maybe has to do that because he has such little trust in his defense right now. But I do wonder if, when he reviews when he uses timeouts, if he would do it differently in the future. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. The second one was burned before the 4th down play, which they kind of had to do because it was the last.
Yeah,
it was
you had to know your
honestly,
ducks in a
I'll
row.
have a better assessment of it on tomorrow's show. I just got to go back and watch it. But
yeah, I'm with Greg though. I think the only one I really have a problem with was they could have spiked it instead of calling that last timeout. They keep that timeout in their pocket for a moment, like there at the end, and so it is what it is.